of the Board of Trustees, Kenyatta University Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, to welcome the members for this training. It's going to be a 1-hour powerful session that is targeting our scheme members who are in the age bracket of 50 and above. But just in case you have found your way here and you are outside that category, we still welcome you because, education is continuous. And it's always good to, it's always our pressure to have these forums to be able to engage and empower our members. We're going to start with a word of prayer. Going to request Trustee Grace to open for us with a word of prayer. Madam Grace.
Thank you, Harun. Good morning, members, and we are happy to have you aboard. Let's pray. Father, we come before you this morning with thanksgiving in our hearts. We are grateful for giving us a new day, a day we are hoping to accomplish the many things that we've planned. One of them is going through this program of learning. We pray that you may be able to help us to understand. We also pray for the facilitator who is going to take us through, and even for the members. And we pray this believing and trusting in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Madam Grace, for that opening prayer. Members, I think I would want to confirm the intention of the Board of Trustees is to have all of us empowered so that we can be able to take firm control of our financial journey. And I'm calling it a journey because indeed it is, and it has to be deliberate. As I always say, someone said that pity a man who wins 1 million, but is not a millionaire in mind. The journey has to start with us being millionaires in our mind. That is where the conversation must start. And we must start by taking full responsibility of our finances. The beauty about it is that it is never late. You may have been able to start earlier. You may not have been able to start, but it's never late. Time is on our side, and it doesn't matter the age that we are in. A day or two, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years can be able to make a difference. And to take us through the session for the day, we have an accomplished person who has been in the financial sector for many years. His name is F.A. George Oyuga. George is a financial analyst. He is a pension consultant, an investment advisor. He's a certified professional trainer and a financial counselor with over 18 years of experience. He has worked in large companies, some of them multinationals, the likes of Old Mutual, Enwell, Samara, both as a general manager and as a GM at different stages of his working career. He's currently the director at Kuza Asset Managers, and he is an author. He has recently authored a very interesting piece called Dance with My Money. And I want to believe he'll be able to take us through with the intention of styling up our thinking so that we can be able to ask ourselves, what is it that we perhaps may need to do differently? So allow me again, dear members, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, to welcome you on board. My name is Harun Mwerege, sitting in as a pension manager. We welcome you to the pension office, even to be able to make any inquiries and even to be able to consult. This is going to be a 1-hour session, so we'll allow George to take us through the 1 hour, and then we'll have a session, a Q&A session for about 15 and 20 minutes. In the meantime, you can still put your questions down on chat. George, welcome on board and proceed.
Thank you very much, Aaron. May I also kindly request if I am audible enough?
Yes, I can hear you, but you may need to raise your voice a bit.
Yes, you are.
Okay, how is it now?
Not bad.
Not bad, eh?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much. And to all trustees present, members of the KU retirement scheme, and everybody else on board. It's a good morning, and we thank God for the gift of life. I want to appreciate the opportunity accorded to me to come and have this very, very good and conversation that is always the passion of my heart. Yeah, to then, together with yourselves, be able to look at the reality check that I was invited to come and tackle. Indeed, there are certain salient questions that we need to be asking ourselves in life. And part of that is what we will be looking at. I would want to handle the session with the assistance of some slides. So maybe I could also check with you if my slides are visible and whether you are seeing only one screen or several.
Yes, they are okay now. You can see one big screen.
One big screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I do that, has it moved?
Yes, it has.
Very, very good. So that means we are set and we can begin the conversation. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, I'm George Oyuga, currently Director Retirement Solutions at Kuza Asset Management Limited. I've authored one book which is already out. The other one is still at manuscript stage, Dance with My Money. And I think, Harun, there may be one copy or two in your office there for anyone who may want to join the dance. Dance with My Pension is still at manuscript stage, so just about to be published, but I'm hoping that it'll also be out very, very soon. Those who may be wondering, Kuza Asset Management Limited is an asset manager licensed by Capital Markets Authority and Retirement Benefits Authority. We began our operations in October of 2021. And what we thought we could bring to the market was a unique thing that allows people to be able to map their financial goals in advance and curate what we call a journey. So Kuza, by its meaning, means to nurture. So we are nurturing people's financial journeys, both on the investment side of things and also on the retirement planning side of things. We also offer asset management for corporates and schemes, as well as investment advisory services. And those who have managed to join Kuza, I believe they are happy and enjoying the journey. Some of them with their flagship products, which are the money market fund, which has been doing very, very well, maintained a top 3 position for the last couple of months. So what drives us is our philosophy on investment and also retirement, which is what I've alluded to, that investment is a journey. And so even retirement is a journey. So for us, we are about nurturing this journey so that people can actually get to that point. And we do that through solutions. We don't just call them products because we believe they speak to people's needs. For our conversation today, I want to quote a saying that I found popular. And that saying goes something like this, that when people are happy, they enjoy the music. But when they are sad, they understand the lyrics. It's a saying that I stumbled upon, but it has become a very, very profound kind of statement for me. I have even borrowed it in the books that I have written, because to me it makes a lot of sense that especially in the journeys we are in, the journey of personal financial management, the journey of our retirement planning, many times people go about their businesses, they go about their day-to-day engagements, but it's until that moment when the reality check actually sounds, that's when now people would want to understand the lyrics. Well, as we say, it is never too late to start. The next best time to start is now. either to improve your financial health or to improve your retirement planning journey, the next best time is now, because the best time was yesterday. And you should have begun earlier, but because this is the opportunity that you have, I want to believe this talk will be able to challenge somebody's money cognitions, challenge somebody's money decisions, and get us to a point whereby we can try and change a few things and maybe do them differently. So I invite all of you to our reality check session, where we will be tackling money decisions versus financial decisions. And I believe there is a difference between the two. The life we live in, the things we see around us, most of them are reflections of people's money decisions, being most of them, but are very, very few financial decisions. So money decisions normally are accompanied by emotions, but financial decisions would normally throw the emotion side of things slightly out first as the decision is being made. So we are products of maybe our journeys. At some point, we made money decisions, or they were made for us. And the future will definitely depend on which decisions you make. Do you continue making money decisions, or do you make financial decisions? The difference between the two means that one of the things we experience is that these money decisions have often caused people what I call money wounds. I am pursuing a course in counseling psychology, and that is why I would want to blend this conversation with that experience as well, to say that these things are real and these things are true, that we actually have people who are walking around carrying money wounds as burdens in their emotions, burdens in their cognitive thinking approaches, and some of them have even in one way or another molded their characters to make them continue behaving in a certain particular way, especially in their relationship with their money, their relationship with their sources of the monies, their relationship with even the destinations where the monies are going. So we also see others again who also manifest what I call financial injuries. So these ones then now would extend beyond the individual. They would be seen impacting even those who are outside that individual circle. They may be immediate family, they may be people at work, they may be people who associate with this person who has money wounds internally. Then there is now the external manifestation of financial injuries. But both said, then the first step is normally to have what we call self-awareness. And when you have self-awareness, then we say you are one step towards healing. And it is something that everybody needs to address because at the end of the day, when you start questioning how your journey has been financially, how you made decisions around money, how you made certain decisions around your finances, you will now get to at least appreciate that there are instances where you actually made money decisions, and there are those instances where now, because you know, should those opportunities present themselves once again, then you can now make financial decisions, because financial decisions lead to prosperity. Money decisions most of the time lead to money wounds and financial injuries. Now, I would want to explore this conversation around certain stages in our lives. We all go through them, and I just summarize them into blocks of 4 to say that we have a dependency stage. This is the stage where we were dependent, we were young, we depended on our parents, we looked at how they did things, we became products, or we became the outcome of some of the decisions they made. Some of them raised us up also, going through similar challenges of money wounds. Some of them raised us up also going through similar challenges of a manifestation of financial wounds as well. Then there is the stage where we broke off from that, of course, because we now got to a point where we can earn our own money. And this doesn't mean that earning is only fixed or related to salary flowing in. Earning is any form of income coming in. Maybe it was now a time for you engaging in a small business here and there, a time for you, for example, doing some casual labor somewhere there before you even landed your permanent and pensionable job. So there were earnings, money starting flowing into your account. Some of us experienced the first money that we were able to manage, maybe through the student loans that we got when we were in campus. And so the decisions we made that time, there were money decisions, there were financial decisions. Of course, the outcome of that makes who we are today. Then there is a point where now you stabilized, you set up family, you now were in charge of somebody else who was going through their dependency stage, but now it's you calling the shots. These are your children, your sons, your daughters. You're making now money decisions or financial decisions in a manner that impacts them directly. And in this particular case, you are also looking at, are you now the cause of somebody's financial wounds? Are you now the cause of somebody's financial injuries? At that particular point, then you are now faced again with a new period that is coming ahead, and it is approaching very, very fast, which is the retirement stage. Now, in this particular stage, now you have two things. You are at a crossroads, because you are either going to become dependent again because of the planning, and what we say is failure to plan is planning to fail. So you are in a situation whereby you are planning, your money dance, your money management, your savings will determine whether you will be independent financially or dependent financially going forward. And the society we are bringing up today definitely is not taking this thing positively. They have christened it as black tax. So are you a candidate of black tax, for example, to your own children, or are they looking at you approaching retirement and they start feeling scared because they're almost onboarding a new burden? They're almost onboarding an additional dependent person in their lives and the like. And you know, maybe our parents and those who were earlier there could have done things differently. Maybe for them, having many children could have worked for them. But for us here today in this platform, we know that number one, first of all, is that we worked against that opportunity by giving birth to a lesser number of children. We did our family plannings, of course, and here we are now looking at these few children, 1, 2, or 3, or 4 of them that are there, and we are threatening to become a financial burden to them. They are already, in one way or another, repulsive towards this particular outcome. And so we find ourselves in a situation where we are almost, in one way or another, also becoming a bit jittery and anticipating things that are a bit negative. We would want maybe our retirement age to be increased. We would want to feel like we are not prepared. We would want to start thinking that, by the way, when I retire, I will again engage myself in active work or experiences, because my money, whatever I have saved, will not be sustainable for me. And how you check that is just to say, if the total I have saved is a million shillings, then just take 1% of that am I able to survive on this on a monthly basis? Maybe that's another reality check that you'll be able to calculate softly there where you are, to just ask yourself, what is 1% of my total savings? I look back at my statements and it is 1 million. So that means my 1% is 10,000 shillings. How will life be in this 10,000? Am I being swung back to the dependency stage, but now as an old man, an old woman, someone who has been through their retirement, their work life, and so now faced with the new realities? But that notwithstanding, there may be something small that we can salvage in this conversation by looking at what I am calling the dance. Now, success is anchored on your money dance because it is determined by how you managed the relationship dance where you and your employer, you and your source of earning behaved or interacted in a particular way that always saw you, for example, rise in rank, always saw you earn in good time, always saw you in bonus conversations, always saw you in salary increments, always saw you there. And on the contrary as well, someone else with the relationship between them and their employer, it was a stagnant journey, maybe just a flat journey. You are where you are when you are employed, you've never risen in rank, and so many things happening there. So your relationship dance is not a dance that you feel that is something that you can be proud of. You may also, of course, be here as an individual, but within your family setting, we will have your family members who have engaged in, for example, business, and you're looking at the dance there. Is you the service provider because you're selling a service, you the goods provider because they are selling a good to the client. The relationship between them as providers of that service or good to the clients is in a particular way. Business maybe is facing downwards, business maybe is not flourishing. So the dance there may be a dance that is inviting your intervention in one way or another. And I believe this session will give you some new insights to go and look at. Now, success is not in how much you earn, it is in how you manage what comes into your hands. So we cannot say that we were unable to retire maybe, for example, comfortably, because for us, we were in the lower ranks in the earnings hierarchy. We are feeling like we were not in the adequately remunerated space. Those who would retire comfortably are those who are our seniors, they were our managers, or they are the ones, the category that would retire later, maybe at age 75 there. I'm in this other one that we will go home earlier. And you're looking at so many things. It is not really the determinant. The determinant or this anchor of your success is in how you managed your money dance in different stages. At the relationship side where you were earning it, when the money landed into your hands, you're looking at the earnings dance. Are you able to work on certain things? Were you able to save anything from what you are earning monthly? Were you able to invest whatever you have saved? Were you able to also get yourself to invite your assets to also start earning for you? And that now meant that you are now in the wealth dance. So all these are different stages in life, and it's something that I analyze in that book very, very well, in that we all are faced with these 5 stages at any point in time. There's a time we had a relationship, meaning that a contract was signed somewhere, someone employed you, or you sold a good or a service somewhere, a relationship dance was crystallized. That dance created a platform for earning. Those earnings created a platform for savings, but you needed the tools to manage it, the balance, budgeting, and all those things to manage that. And then those savings that you had put aside, like now, most of us here, you may actually end up retiring, and you are retiring to only see the only tangible thing that you are looking at is what was from your pay slip to go into the pension scheme, because every other thing you try glancing over your shoulders to check where the rest of your money on a monthly basis went, and you can't see anything that is tangible enough, because it is only these savings that have saved you. So were those savings also in a space where they were managed? Of course, yes. The pension scheme, very, very good governance structure. The investment is done, the return is given to you. You see that in your interest on an annual basis. And so the dance is okay, and your money is earning even more money. And that means that the wealth dance looks okay on the pension side. But that was just a percentage of what you would take home on a monthly basis. What about the bulk of it? If you are doing 7.5 or 10%, what about the bulk of it? What about the other amount that you're taking home on a monthly basis? How was the dance in that particular space? So as we now then look at those stages that I highlighted earlier on, that's the dependency stage, the growth stage, the earning stage, and then the final stage, which is the retirement stage. Let's try and puncture some of our cognitions financially and see who we are and what we have always become. So first question that I want to ask on the dependency stage is that do you consider yourself a product of nature, or do you consider yourself a product of nurture? Because it is either the environment we grew up in and we're feeling like that was our condemnation, because maybe our culture did not allow us to go to school because of our gender, maybe because there were no facilities and all those kind of things. And so we become prisoners of our past. We may want to blame it on those who brought us up. We are looking at, had I grown, for example, in a richer family, had I been raised by a richer parents or wealthier parents, could my journey have been different? Okay, the answer to those things may be yes and no, but at the end of the day, we like challenging, or I like challenging people to say that please do not live in the past like a prisoner of your past, because there are certain things that you should have broken off from. This is not the time when you start still looking back and feeling like maybe my grandparent did not read Proverbs 13:22, which says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his grandchildren, and you're feeling like for me it's the opposite. It is me even supporting upwards. It is me even taking care of my parents. So what is this that I would be holding? But remember, you have a decision and you have a chance to change that story. You have a chance to change the outcome of the rest of your lineage by not living as a prisoner of your past. So are you a product of you are nurturing or you are nurturing? So that's a very, very fundamental question which one needs to look at, so that they are not living and dwelling under despair. I know there are people who say that, I know for us, we did not go to a group of schools. We went to school in groups. Yes, those are conversations people may have, but they simply just reflect the manifestation of certain wounds, certain injuries that blame where you are today on your past. You know me, I never went to school because it's only my siblings who are educated, or there was no enough school fees, so I was asked to sacrifice for them to be able to pursue their academics, and I was left behind. So that has made me not become the professor I wanted to be. That made me not become the doctor I wanted to be. That made me not become this line of maybe profession. My life could have been better, and we still dwell in those pasts. I want to challenge you that you cannot continue life being a prisoner of your past. Because when you do so, you then carrying with you certain economic yearnings, and at times they manifest when we see you land on some small amount of money. You look at the behavior of people end month, it's different from how they behaved around the 10th or the 11th. You look at the behavior of people when they have gotten a loan, when they have gotten some bonus, when they have gotten some salary increment, and these deep yearnings that are there, the manifestation of such wounds actually come out, and you start feeling feeling like, by the way, now this is the true me. This is the true person. You find a retiree has just been paid their lump sum, for example, and the first thing they do is they take a flight or take an SGR and go to Mombasa to just reduce these monies to manageable levels. Now, when you look at that, it means that deeply held within this individual is a yearning that was there, and he was in an economic cell of some sort, that now these new monies are making him or her to make certain money decisions that later on they will regret. Asking somebody that, by the way, let me sit you down and ask you, at this particular point, how do you behave when you land your money like this? There are some people that when salary lands like this, even the home will feel it. Why? Because things that they never used to eat, now the fridge is stocked, sausages are there, everything else is there, and life is not on a smooth line. Life is on a very erratic kind of pattern, because there are days of complete lack, and then there are days of complete abundance. So it just tells you that this abundance is actually what unlocks this person's economic yearnings. And so we carry some of these things because we experienced them when we were dependent. We knew that, by the way, end month meant ABCD, you know, end month meant this kind of exposures, exploits that are being done, and we carry that, and we are doing that even for our own children, showing them that these cycles are there, showing them that this is what you do. So even your child, the very first time maybe even an uncle or an auntie comes home and gifts them even a shilling or 5 shillings or 10 shillings or 100 bob, what you see manifest in the life of this child is that they cannot hold their peace even in the house. They will rush out very fast, and the next thing they're coming back into the house is that they went and spent all this money at the shopping center, because now the things they've been yearning, the ice creams, the sweets, and all those things are now manifesting out of them, because they have just landed some lump sum, some gift, some cash. And maybe that is us when we were young, that is you when you were young, and now these money wounds are coming in. So you carry them with you, and when you get your first job, and you ask somebody, by the way, what is this first thing you will do with your first salary? And you will find so many things. When you're employing anyone, for example, even there at KU, and this person is coming in, at times I get a bit cheeky to post certain questions if I'm sitting in some panels, to just ask people, by the way, what are your life goals, and what is this first thing that you'd want to do? And you'll hear these young people, for example, would be talking about things like, my first salary, I'll buy a car, my first salary, I'll change my phone, my first salary, I'll change my dressings, I'll change my residence, and those things, and we live in them, we carry them with us. They mirror our money wounds in the past, and you find the way people behave is such that if I did not go to a group of schools, then my children must go to a group of schools. If we were raised up paying rent, then we must live in our own house. If we were walking to school, my child must go to a place whereby we have a school bus picking them at the gate. And you look at all those things and you ask yourself, by the way, why would people find themselves under pressure? And some of these things and these life goals, they will mirror some of the things you have. They'll mirror your dreams, will mirror some of these wounds, because we grew up with them, and the child in us is still locked inside there, yearning some of these things that we desired to be, because they were niceties in life. And so I want to ask you, look at some of these conversations here. Life is full of people's money decisions. And this is where you look at things like food and medicine. You know, someone said that eat your food like medicine, because if you do not, then you will end up eating your medicine like food. And if you pause and listen to that statement again, definitely it makes some sense. So when you look at that, then of course you will challenge things like, do we live to eat or do we eat to live? You know, because at the end of the day, some of the problems we have inherited, some of the things that we have onboarded on ourselves is because we never considered that this food we are taking it because we need to live. And so we are even introducing the same. Remember what I said about us making decisions for others now? We are bringing up children who are already predetermined towards certain paths in terms of lifestyle challenges, simply because of the things we feed them. Yeah, and yet the things we are feeding them is just a manifestation of our own previous money wounds, which we need to look at. So the junk food, we keep doing them. Going out to them means we are going to take chips. Going out to them means that we are going to take those burgers. Everything else that is unhealthy, to them now that looks like what success is. So they look for that life as well, that the day they will start earning, then they are already on a highway to poor feeds or poor feeding programs and challenges and the things like that. And we look at that and we get to a point whereby we cannot control it even for our own children. So do you eat your food as medicine, or do you eat, or were you waiting until that time that you will now be forced to eat your medicine as food? So that's one of the challenges. Look, bring this conversation slightly home, and you ask yourself, in the space of, or in the sphere of communication and the like, you who is seated in this program right now, asking yourself, did you buy a camera that can call, or did you buy a phone that can take photos? Good question there. So if what they advertise so much about the phone you have today is about the pixels and all that, then your answer is as good as mine. You simply went for a camera that can make calls. And so you challenge yourself on some of those decisions you made. Were they money decisions? Were they financial decisions? Talked about schooling. We are busy pushing ourselves towards schools. We want to take our children to groups of schools. We want to see them being dropped from school with a school bus and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, is it really education that was our focus in some of the decisions we are making? Some households have put themselves in such very stringent budgets simply because they would want their children to be seen to come or to be going to certain schools. It doesn't matter. If you are in a physical session, I would have asked you to look at the person seated next to you. How long have you known them? Some of you may have worked together for 10 years, some of you 5 years and all that, some of you 20 years. But then if I asked you, do you know the primary school they attended? Then you go like, wow, okay, that never dawned on me. Meaning that some of these things we give ourselves pressure with or pressure for, at this age, even as parents, definitely they cease to matter at some point. This primary school you attended, maybe even for some of you, it doesn't matter, you know. I know you, Aaron, I think me and you have known each other for some time now. Do you know the primary school I attended? Do I know the one you attended? You know, so things like those ones, it actually ceases to matter. Yet those are some of the pressures that we give ourselves. Transport versus a car. So if I'm discussing means of transport, how to locomote from one point to the other, how to, you know, it ceases to become a conversation around a car. Am I going for a Subaru? Am I going for a Prado? You know, at the end of the day, that is at a different level. The other conversation that traps many people is actually the house versus the housing. You know, if you are sorting the housing problem today, housing problem can be sorted using rent. It can be sorted through leasing, buying, building, and all that. But people have gotten to pursue the house more than the housing conversation and onboarded budgets that are beyond their control. So you find somebody has gone into a very huge mortgage. And if you look at your mortgages, just look at the number of years you are paying it. Look at the monthly amount you are paying, multiply by those number of months, you will discover that every mortgage you've signed up for or the mortgage you're currently servicing, the total amount that you will have paid by the end of that journey will be around 3 times the value of the house that you're busy buying. So you ask yourself, was that the best avenue for me to use to be able to sort my housing problem. Because if we did not define housing very well, then you find ourselves in that trap. And if you are paying mortgage, please stop walking around claiming that wewe haulipi rent. You are paying rent. You only change your landlord is your bank. So you are still paying rent, and you're now paying it at 2 times what you used to pay to enjoy the same level of facility or the same level of comfort. Now, I like saying that everybody in life needs 2 houses. One house, which is a house to live in, and another house, which is a house to live on. Now, the order of that matters, because if you start with a house to live in, chances are that you will never get to the house to live on. But if you start with the house to live on, there are very high chances that you will now get to the house to live in. And that means that the house to live on is a house that you have put up, or a building or a property that you have put up, which is bringing you revenue, it is bringing you rental income. And that way then it boosts your position such that through its yields, you will be able to now build the house to live in. So in that order, house to live on first, and then house to live in. Anyone who starts with the other way around, with the house to live in first, definitely ends up with only pursuing that one. And those are the mortgage conversations we are having around and experiencing around for most of us. Now, that conversation around house, and I've said 2 houses, I hope the men have heard me clearly. I did not say 2 homes. I said 2 houses, not 2 homes, so that people go saying that George is a proponent of polygamy, because he actually said it very clear that no, for me, I said 2 houses, not 2 homes. Now, that conversation can continue around, do you always see a difference between your job and your work? Because there are some people who every Monday morning you feel like, I love my job, it is the work I hate. Yeah, those Monday blues that we talk about. Now, if there is a difference between your job and your work, then it means that there are certain things you need to come back and revise or review and ask yourself, am I in the right career? Am I in doing something that I'm passionate about? Or did I simply pick it up as anything? I can do anything provided it pays me rent or provided it helps me meet my bills. Those are the challenging questions that I want you to look at. The other bit would be, for your employer, is your employer an employer, or is your employer your client? You know, we say in business and in commerce that services rendered earn you some revenues. So you are a business person if you're selling services. You are also a business person if you are selling goods. So the buying of goods and services is actually what business is about. So if you render services to KU, and KU is paying for those services on a monthly basis, then the person who buys these services from you is your client. Now, and if you started looking at your employer as your client, definitely you will always be inclined to make your client happy. And you will not be among those who complain. You will not be among those who, look at problems but do not want to be part of their solutions. You will be looking at everything differently. You will be inviting negotiations for things that are not working. You will be approaching even appraisal sessions with some positivity, because here you are, you need to impress your client, and the representative for your client is your line manager. Life can be, because when people don't handle that relationship very well, then you have disciplinary cases, you have stagnated careers because somebody cannot be promoted because of their attitude. You are looking at certain things that you are always the backstabber. You do not, you're not a team player. And so even promoting you becomes a bit hard. So you stagnate in life, and then you steer your entire financial journey into a different path simply because of things that you could have embraced if you handled the employer or client relationship in a better way. Now, other things, for example, you have your 8 days to go to work, you have 8 hours to go to work, you have 8 hours to sleep, as the doctors recommend. In every cycle of 24 hours, there's another 8 hours, which at times many of us do not know how to account for. So even in that one, look at things that you look at when you make the decisions. When you exercise, do you exercise as leisure or do you actually exercise as medicine? Because exercise in itself is preventive medicine. And you look at it and you go like, only want to be pushed there because your doctor said now you must lose 2 kgs or 5 kgs within a month. Otherwise, you are on a different path. You have to start exercising because now it has been prescribed to you as medicine. That's not the kind of retirement we want to walk into. We want to do some of these things because now we have the chance to be able to arrest them. The other thing is challenging our value system. For example, we said that some people are, they look honest simply because the opportunity to steal has never come out. Yeah, so is it because of lack of alternatives? Given an opportunity that your line manager will not be checking on you on so many things, would you still do what you're supposed to do? Given an example that nobody, by the way, does surveillance on your take-home monthly. We can control what comes into the scheme because that is in a scheme environment. The trustees are there, they're doing their work and all that, but we cannot really pop our noses into how you manage the bulk of the monies that goes into your monthly spend. So in that particular space, then you dance like yourself, you dance without surveillance, you dance without supervision, and in that particular point, then you end up actually not having anything to show compared to what you'll be left holding when you are here. So are you busy or are you busy in business? That's the challenge we want to give you as I now move on to stage number 2. Now, in this earnings stage, I want to challenge you to ask yourself whether do you do anything extra to maximize your top line? Because if you look at your payslip, for example, in its structure, it has the top part of it, which shows money coming in. And then that is a salary basic, maybe some allowances here and there and the like. Then it has a middle part, which now are the monies going out. Some of them are statutory deductions. Others there are your own expenditures. You took a loan, you took a top up, all those things are listed there. You have a deduction here and there and all those kind of things. And then at the bottom of it, now you have your net pay, which is the bottom line. Now, there are so many things you can do in any of these stages. For your top line, going back to school can actually mean that you can get a promotion. Going back to school can actually mean that you can secure the next available senior role position when it falls vacant. Going back to school means that you are able to do some things. So it's not only school alone, but at the end of the day, what is this that you can do? Even the way you carry yourself around the office to be able to be entrusted with certain higher responsibilities. You're looking at other things like are you able to also position yourself, for example, start practicing something because you will end up being confirmed in it, Are you volunteering yourself for certain things to earn you some top line? Are you challenging your household, for example? If you are in a household where it's a single income household, then definitely you are sitting on a time bomb. Why? Because those titles we used to swing around that I am the breadwinner. Breadwinner is not a title in 2025 going forward. Yeah, so challenge even your household. If your children have gotten to a point whereby they can be able to do something, let them not be fixated on just simply employment, because employment may not be there, but work is there. There's a difference between getting a job and getting work done and getting paid for that work done. Calls for creativity, calls for them to think outside the box, and that way then you will be somewhere. So challenge them, because if you do not, then you who retires means that the pension we've been mapping around you alone will end up being too little to feed all those other dependent people around yourself. And so the strain will be there. Because if you are the only person who retires with a pension in the village, then just know that it is you who everybody will be looking at as the maybe chief guests in a fundraiser, because you are the only guy with an income. If you retire and you're the only person driving in the village, then prepare yourself, because your car will become the village ambulance. Yeah, prepare for those late night calls to take someone to hospital. Prepare for, those things that everybody would want, because you're the only one driving in that particular space. Now, how do we increase our top line? At times, we don't have a lot of wriggle room for that. We may not have a lot of say for it, but we have a lot of say when it comes to our expense lines. Let us make financial decisions and not always make money decisions. Money decisions are what makes somebody have money between 1st and 15th, and then the next phase of the month, you are broke waiting for the next salary. You earned an Olympic shilling that hopped, stepped, and jumped in and out of your bank account. There is no fellowship of the shilling. The shilling you earn, or you will now earn in the month of May, this week or next week, will it find what you earned in March somewhere in your account and have fellowship, high five, say, hey, you've been around for 2 months, how are things here? Or are things such that by that time, you have even been a candidate of Shylock's and every other space where one can borrow. So you can change that and do that. We have tools like tools of budgeting that can help you with that particular stage, and things would be okay. Now, when you go to your growth stage, where now you have a salary, everybody's celebrating you, you have a permanent job and the like, what did you get into? Did you start accumulating what I call flowsets? Or did you, of course, align yourself to start getting assets? Now, look at the things you call assets in your docket or in your portfolio and ask yourself, if that particular thing is not earning me anything, there is no revenue that it maps on itself, it's actually taking away from me, then that is not an asset. It is simply a flowset. You're using it to floss around. So I'm sure by now people are already looking at, oh, that car parked out there. Wow, it is not an asset because it's not earning me anything. That house I'm staying into is not an asset. It is not earning me anything. Until the day you sell it, until the day you are able to unlock the value it has zero meaning to your portfolio. It can't change the quality of your life today if it is not bringing you anything. So are you able to shift focus now and start saying, wow, I've been chasing flowsets all my life, the things I have done, the things I have invested in, where my money has been going, all those things have actually been flowsets and not assets. You have some room now, between now and when you retire, to start changing some of these dances and now start pursuing some of the assets. And by the way, the moment you clock age 45 and above, please stay away from those things we call tangible assets. You find some people, you are 45 and above, that's the time you are going to buy your first plot and the like. If it is where you want to settle, no problem. But now start having so many title deeds around your name and the like. What you need in retirement is cash flow. And cash flow is king, because anyone who has cash flow has an advantage over anybody who has a list of assets. What does it profit you to have 7 title deeds, for example? None of them is bringing you any income, yet you could liquidate those 6 of them and remain with one where you will stay and have all those ones converted to a near cash, which means that the money invested in something like a money market fund or a fixed income fund can now start generating something for you. And now you realize value from that thing called an asset. So look at it this way. There are plots you bought 10 years ago. You've never built them. You don't even have the capacity, the firepower to be able to put up something there or construct a building that can start unlocking rental yield for you. If you know that that window is closed, you can't get that loan that can build that flat and the like, please release that plot and convert that money. Let it be your capital in another space like money market, because 1 million in a money market today, because I manage one, which is with Kuza, 1 million in a money market today is a constant flow of almost 11,000 shillings or 12,000 on a monthly basis. So what you look at is that the cost of some of your decisions may actually be meaning that you lose on so many things that you could have actually done different. So are you trapped in flowsets, or are you trapped in assets? If you are in assets, then you'll retire happy. If you are in flowsets, then definitely you will be asset rich but very cash poor. And so that's not what we desire to be your kind of goal. Were you more on consumption or investment when you are spending on a monthly basis, or are you still trapped in the debt pits? Because if you get to a point whereby you actually end up using your retirement money to clear some of your loans, then it means your dance was a bad dance. Your retirement money should not pay school fees. Your retirement money should not pay your mortgage balance. Your retirement money should not pay any of the circle loans you have. Your retirement money is your retirement money. It means you missed a step somewhere in your dance. So look at that, and as you go closer towards retirement, reduce on your borrowings. Do not borrow for consumption anymore. If you're borrowing to invest, then you've analyzed and seen that where this money is going will actually yield me more than where I am taking it from, because that thing you call interest is actually cost of borrowing. Leave alone the way we call it interest. It is never in our interest. It is cost of borrowing. So look at that and ask yourself, are you still piling more debts over things that are consumption based, things that are, still taking things like school fees loan and the like and all that, consumption based, because your child's education is not your investment. Get it right. It is not your investment. You are simply fulfilling your custodial duty as we continue. So do you look at your pension as a deduction, or do you look at your pension as a contribution? Because we say pension contribution. That is what it's supposed to be. You are contributing. You need to do that happily, because you're putting some money, additional voluntary contribution into the scheme or normal contribution into the scheme. Being in a scheme attracts also the employer's contribution. I saw the way people fought, for example, the NSSF new rates and the like, and I was like, whoa, all this noise is simply because people are looking at NSSF as a deduction and not a contribution. So if it is a contribution, it tells us that in year 3, like now, the year we are in, we are supposed to be doing 3,840 that goes either to NSSF or not, and then 480 that goes to tier 1. So in total, we are talking about around 4,243.20. So if that is what we are looking at as a contribution, it means that me putting that aside attracts the employer's similar amount to my pocket, because those contributions vest in me immediately. So am I contributing or am I getting deducted? So this deduction is negative. Deduction, we look at it like we are losing out. Deduction, we look at it like the money is flowing away. The real essence of all this, be it NSSF or be it your pension scheme, KU retirement benefit scheme, look at that as a contribution so that you do not feel pain when you are doing additional voluntary contributions to boost your projected net replacement ratio. And I said, what you have saved today, just take 1% of it and ask yourself, is this sufficient for me to live on a monthly basis? So when you come to that retirement stage, then have you saved enough? Look at your statement. Think about it. The amounts you have saved there, 1% of it, will it be able to get you there? Are you still trapped in asset-rich but cash-poor scenarios? You have plots of land, but you can't afford food for money for medicine or money for food, money for basic things. Rethink your portfolio, rethink the way you've strategized, rethink the way you've built, rethink the way you have always approached certain things, because there's a difference between money decisions and there's a difference between financial decisions. So can your retirement dance be different? You know, your earnings dance has had a particular path and the like. Can you do something different to maybe make sure that your retirement dance comes out better? Because when we plan for retirement, we are cognizant of the fact that our social structures have collapsed. Our children will not support us anymore, or to the level that we really expect. The government also has no money to say that it will support retirees. I see old people lining up despite the weather. Maybe it's a hot, scorching sun, it's a rainy day, but they're lining up to receive 3,000, 3,500. Is that what you want to do? And it's expected that that should take you for a whole month to again, before you queue again there. And no, that's not where we want you to be. if you had an opportunity to be in a pension scheme like you are right now. Government social security systems are struggling because we do not have the revenues. Are you able to do that plan yourself? The fact is that we are living longer than projected. Those I would say life expectancy years they give us, we are exceeding them. Some of us will be retiring way past when we are already in that bonus period, because they say every year you live after age 70 is a bonus. Some of us, our retirement is in that bonus phase, because either we are in a particular line of profession or category within even the KU itself. I know those will retire when they are in that bonus phase. So we are living longer than projected. It means that we are still productive. Is there something we can do differently? Don't be fooled by those who say that I'll not need a lot of money when I retire. You will need more money when you retire than when you are now still working. Why? Because there's certain things people don't project and look at. For now, you are unwell, you go to the hospital, you flash out a medical card paid by your employer. You've never known what it means to pay consultation fees. You've never known what it means to buy medicine at the counter, for example, because the medical scheme is working. That is a cost that will be passed directly to you. And at that age, if now you're convinced because a whole year, maybe you've never visited the hospital, you are still young, energetic, and the like, your body will become frail in retirement. And you know that is for the rest of your life. Are you saving, for example, even for the post-retirement medical, things like those ones? How will you onboard that burden that you're never used to paying? Some people are housed. They never know what it means to pay rent, for example. What will happen when you retire? You now onboard a rental expense. You now, some of you are driven today because of the virtue of your office. You have a driver allocated to you. You have someone doing certain things, chores at your home, for example. Somebody else is paying for them. When you retire, those perks will go. So you'll need money to sustain that kind of life. That's why we say when you're targeting an income replacement ratio, target something close to 70% of what your last salary was. So we today are settling late. Some people are starting life later because we are pursuing education. We're still pursuing maybe our degrees, our postgraduate qualifications and the like. We didn't settle in life early enough. By the time we are settling, we realize that we are on a totally different path. There are some things we could have done earlier, for example. But in all the dance that you do, failing to plan properly is planning to fail proper. So please, if you are part of KU, try as much as possible to avoid old age poverty, because it is a reality. When people do not plan, they of course end up in agony, and that is there. So how do you change your money dance? Look at your revenue relationships and ask yourself, am I able to increase my earning channels? There is salary, there is a side hustle that somebody, maybe you or your household member, can actually engage in. Avoid the aspect of I am so and so, so my people are waiting for me, because I've seen it when, for example, the shepherd gets struck, the sheep scatter. It's true even in our family settings, that if you, the sole breadwinner, something happens and you're no longer earning what you're earning, the entire family is thrown into disarray. Lives and dreams are challenged and quashed simply because we never thought about increasing our revenue channels. Then your earning opportunities are there. Are you able to do something different, going back to school, doing something, earning that promotion, positioning yourself for that increment so that your earning opportunities are enhanced? Can you boost your saving levels? How much of your monies are going into savings? If you save while you are young, you save a small amount of money, and through compounding, this spirals to become something big. But when you try pushing savings when you are older, the steep incline on that note becomes too tiring. And at that time, your payslip is so clogged, you do not know what to do. But you can make certain adjustments and make them early today. If you're thinking of going into business when you've retired, start that business now so that you learn some of the motions and the things that will be challenging, because you do not want to get to a point whereby your own capital is at risk. Better start now when you have salary to fall back to if things don't work out, because it is not all the businesses that are started that flourish. Some take like 4 years before they are able to break even. Some of them also collapse along the way. They don't see their third anniversaries. So look at how you are managing that. Are you able to make better investment decisions? Are those real investments, or they are simply money pushed towards flow sets? Think about that as well. Look at your wealth distribution. A simple thing, for example, like making sure your nomination of beneficiary form is updated is one bold strategy of wealth distribution. Or do you want to leave that conversation to the trustees to look at? So all those strategies, the things that can help you rethink the money dance, rethink about that, look at how can I push more towards my funding? How do you fund your retirement? Through additional voluntary contributions. Consider that. How do you look at, for example, growth that can come from tax avoidance? So in tax avoidance, you are there because there are certain nice things that are there. In Tax Laws Amendment Act 2023, or 2024, sorry, we actually saw some very nice things. The threshold for tax-free contribution levels was risen or grown from 20,000 to 30,000. Have you taken advantage of that? Because that is tax avoidance. Yeah. So you push more to their grow from that 20,000, 30,000 per month, and you do so. And let me illustrate that, by the way, in a minute or so. Here is a scenario where I have somebody, for example, here who is earning 100,000. This person is not in any scheme. They do NSSF only, and there we go. They are not in a scheme. Look at how much they are paying as tax. 20,637, which is going as pay as you earn. Now, if this person was to contribute to that threshold and ensure the maximum of that 30 is there, and ensure that there is also a small push, because post-retirement medical fund allows 15,000 shillings tax-free as savings, a contribution you saved is there. This person's tax net pay as you earn actually drops from 20,000 to 7,000. And yet all this money has been pushed back to belong to them. So 30,000 is now their own money. 15,000 is now their own money. These are monies that could have actually been part of the taxation that we are seeing here. So are you able to take advantage of that? And we see it doesn't have to be those extremes of 30K and the like. Every amount counts. Someone doing 5,000 in the same scenario, the tax goes down to 19,000. Someone doing, for example, 10,000 in the same scenario, the tax goes down to 17,000. Someone doing 15,000 in the same scenario, the tax is still going down to around 16,000. So you reduce your tax obligation, tax liability, because now you are able to do something good. Now, when you do additional voluntary contributions, again, you look at this tabulation that I have here. I don't know whether it is visible enough. You have two people, one person A, person B, and then C, person C. So you're looking at that and you're saying, this person just simply does another extra 1,000 here as additional voluntary contributions. See what happens to their total amount when they retire. It actually grows from 7.5 million to 8.3 million over that same period. And I am looking at here a period of over 20 years. So person C, who does 3,000, actually pushes their retirement pot scheme total target scheme credit to 9.8 million. So you can be able to look at it, because when you look at it over the years here, what has actually happened is that the contribution is very small. The bulk of this is actually what the investments bring in for you. And I've only used an average investment return of 12%. So it is the bulk. Out of this 7.5 million that this person has done, out of the 9.9 million, sorry, that this person has done, 7.5 is actually what? It's actually investment income. They only contributed a total of 2.4. Out of this 10.9 million that this person is doing by simply adding an additional voluntary contribution of 1,000, out of that, 8.3 total is investment, coming from investment income. Out of the 3,000 this person does additional voluntary contributions, they will retire with 12.9 million. But out of that, their total contribution is 3.1 million only over all that period. If you sum the total of what they did every month, the bulk of it is simply investment income, 9.8. So this is a space where your money is dancing for you. Your assets are bringing you monies, and that is what you need to look at. So one decision we can do is whatever horizon you have, maybe 10 years to retirement, 15 years to retirement, simply doing a small additional voluntary contribution propels your target retirement to trigger a funding momentum. And that is something that you can be able to explore. As I finish, I just want to look at something else, a decision that you'll be faced with in the near future when you'll be looking at retirement. And you're now asked, are you able to do, for example, annuities as your scheme recommends, or are you going to do income drawdown? Just the difference between the two so that one can take home something small there. And I'll be looking at certain parameters, and those parameters will be ownership of those funds, flexibility of regular cash flows. I'll be looking at future growth opportunities, next of kin entitlement, entity risk or governance, permanence of the decision you've made, or market portability, and analyze the difference between the two. Maybe somebody's eyes will be opened to consider if they were for annuities, they may now choose income drawdowns. If they didn't understand what income drawdowns were, they can also now understand that better. So let's start with ownership of funds. Now, with ownership of funds, in an annuity space, the funds are owned by the insurance company. But in an income drawdown fund, the funds are owned by the member. So when you retire and you get that 2 million, you get that 3 million. If you go the annuity route, it means you're surrendering that check to the annuity provider, who is the insurance company. But if you go the income drawdown route, you are joining another fund. So the money is still yours. Consider. For me, I think income drawdown is better than annuity. Look at the next thing. Flexibility of cash flows. Every year, can I determine how much I want to take home? In an annuity, it will be already structured within the annuity contract, but in an income drawdown, I can actually decide on that annually, depending on how my fund performed last year. So that again gives me power to choose how much I'll take home, subject to a maximum of 12%. So given the two, in that parameter, I choose income drawdown as opposed to annuities. Parameter number 3, the future growth. There are years when these monies will be invested and the growth or the performance is good and better. When I go the annuity route, it means that I am forfeiting all that and I will not participate in that good performance in that good year. So those benefits will never be passed to me as a member. The annuity I signed for is what I will continue earning. So if I picked an annuity in a bad year where the projections were looking bad and negative, then definitely I am doomed for the rest of my life to only that amount that I have. But in income drawdown, I actually own that growth. So that growth will be mine. It will be plugged into me. So in that parameter, again, I feel income drawdown funds are better than annuities. In the next parameter, which is the next of kin claim, meaning that will my next of kin, my dependent, have anything? Suppose I pick the annuity or the income drawdown and I am no longer alive. That means that in the annuity, my next of kin will only claim the balance of my guarantee. So if my guarantee was 10 years, which we normally recommend that you do not take an annuity of less than that, then the longer I live, the smaller the guarantee balance becomes. So my longer life means it's a disadvantage to my next of kin. They may want me to check out earlier so that their check is bigger. But in an income drawdown arrangement, the next of kin can claim 100% of the portfolio that I am holding. So on that parameter, again, I tick it for income drawdown and not annuities. Then I look at also the entity risk. When I put my money in an annuity, I am pushing it to the balance sheet of the insurance company. So it is that approved issuer that holds my money and owns it, by the way. The decisions are there, but in an income drawdown, I am in a fund. I am in a trust fund, a trust arrangement. Just the same way you have built your pension scheme and under an irrevocable trust, the income drawdown is also a trust arrangement. I'd rather be in a trust than trust somebody's balance sheet at any given time. Life changes. So I give it again to income drawdown as opposed to annuities. Permanence of decision. When I sign on to that annuity, that decision is permanent and cannot be changed. But when I sign into an income drawdown, I can revisit that conversation after the first 10 years and say, I think now I want different. And that decision will be open. So again, on that parameter, I give it for income drawdown as opposed to annuities. On market portability, when I sign up with a given insurance company and pick their annuity, I can never change my insurance or my provider. I will stick with them for the rest of my life. But in an income drawdown fund, I can change and go to a different fund after the first 5 years if I'm not happy. So on that parameter again, I'll give it for income drawdown as opposed to annuity. So if out of all these 7, I am ticking more boxes for income drawdown than it is for annuities, then maybe this is another money dance. This is another financial decision that we may need to make. Some people go the annuity route because, oh, I trust this company. Oh, this company has been there for longer. Oh, this one is a large insurance company. Nothing can ever happen. That is a money decision. A financial decision is to say that your money in a trust arrangement, your money in a pension-like space controlled by RBA, annuities are insurance regulatory authority, then I am safer in a trust arrangement because that way things can always be arrested at any given time before they spiral. So consider that in the income drawdown, you can be able to do much, much more. So look at that. Conversations. If you are here and you are earning a gratuity, using this again, sending your money to a gratuity fund or receiving money from a gratuity fund positions you 2 options. 1, can it be paid into the pension space or do I take the money home? If you take the money home, you crystallize a lot of losses, but we believe this will change with these new budget proposals that are coming up in the next few weeks or month. So that way then, once they now officially declare that gratuity monies are also tax-free, then this conversation would now cease to hold water. But as it is right now, it is better to have your gratuity paid into your pension scheme than to take the money home or have the money paid into your bank account, simply because you have similar conversations there. In a pension, immediate vesting. Benefits are not assignable. There is a favorable tax environment. You have a portability of accumulated benefits. You can move from one pension to the other. You have legal obligation placed on the employer to make sure the scheme is running. Your benefits will be paid within 30 days. Your benefits can participate in investments and grow further. You can contribute if you want more. But gratuity arrangements, the opposite of all that. So again, consider. Faced with that challenge, faced with that opportunity, look at what would be my best decision. Would I be making a money decision or a financial decision? If you happen to leave before retirement, again, challenge to you. Will you access the 50% of your benefit because it is available? Or will you defy it and leave it there because you are saving for retirement anyway? Or will you transfer it to another registered scheme? Money decisions versus financial decisions. Do not do anything that lowers the opportunity for your income replacement ratio to be worse than things are right now, because I know many of us have not saved enough. Now, in our reality check conversation today, what I'm simply doing, what I've been saying in the last 1 hour, is simply inviting you to check your money dance. So will you make financial decisions or will you continue making money decisions? I would want to finish it there and say thank you very, very much for that conversation. Never ever forget that in our reality check conversation today, money decisions versus financial decisions are what we've been challenged. And I believe we are better than where we were when we were starting. Back to you, Aaron.
Thank you very much, George. That is quite insightful. I want to believe our members have actually been able to take good learning points. think like we said at the beginning, we're just trying to challenge our thinking, and looking at the reality, checking the reality in terms of where we are. The conversation has gone, what have we been able to accumulate? Have we accumulated assets or have we accumulated assets? What is your asset portfolio mix, and especially I like the conversation of house versus housing, and the conversation of the house to live in and the house to live on. And sometimes when you look at the money that you have locked in the houses that we are living in, especially the houses that are self-owned, you have to pause and ask yourself whether that is a money decision or it's a financial decision. When you're looking at our asset portfolio mix, I know sometimes we so much concerned about buying shares. And I was looking at it last year when the treasury bonds were as high as 18%. There's what we call the rule of 72. And the rule of 72 basically means that if you look at the rate that you are earning, if you divide 72 by the rate that you are earning, it tells you the number of years that you need to double your investment. So when the rates were 18%, it means that if you invested like, say, even $1 million, within 4 years, you'll have been able to double your investment. And of course, you also look at how liquid that investment is. This is the reality, members, we are calling you to look at, money versus financial decisions, and the cash is always the king. We have a number of questions, George. I'm saying that so that you are able to look at the chat. We have a number of questions in the chat. I think I'll invite you in the next maybe 10 minutes to walk us through the response of the questions in the chat. And then we'll be able to pick a question or two from the members. Welcome, George, again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aaron. Looking at the charts there, let me see, what do we have? Good morning. Kindly unpack the relationship between the pension, NSSF, and the tiers, and how they will affect us once we retire, what will be available as lump sum etc. So on this particular one, what I'll do is, let me see if I can go back to that slide just to help us understand. On the conversations around NSSF. So I'll use this slide here. Now, what is the relationship? Number one is that NSSF is a statutory deduction. So that means that it complements, or it is complemented by the pension scheme that you are a member of. And because previously NSSF did not address adequacy conversations, we are in an era where there was an attempt to actually now enhance the contributions of NSSF from the 200 shillings you used to do and the 200 shillings the employer used to do, to now bring NSSF to some level of adequacy by people saving 6%, and the employer saving an extra 6%, meaning 12% will now go into savings for somebody's earnings, but subject to certain minimums or maximums there. So what we have here is the entire path of the implementation of NSSF for those 5 years that it was supposed to run. So this year, 2025, we were meant to be in year number 3. So what happens is that the first 8,000 of your earnings, 6% of it, which would now be the 480 shillings, would go to NSSF as tier 1 contributions. And then if your salary was higher than 8,000, then the rest of your salary up to 72,000 would be used to calculate what we call the tier 2 contribution. So again, 6% of that amount would now be capped at 3,840 for the member, and an extra, again, 3,840 from the employer to go towards your space. So we know there are some legal hurdles, legal challenges around the implementation of NSSF, but there are organizations that have already picked it up and are rolling with it despite the challenges that it is going through in the legal corridors. So in this particular case, when you retire, all the accumulated contributions in this green column, light green here, would be paid to you as a lump sum. And then all the accumulations of this column here, which I'm calling blue, would be paid to you as a pension. So if they are being paid to you as a pension, then it means that at this particular moment, the green must go to NSSF to be housed there until the day you retire. But this dark blue column here can be taken out to another retirement arrangement. The slide I have used here is a slide where we were using it to invite certain employers to do the tier 2 contribution into the KUSA umbrella scheme. But I believe that the infrastructure has been laid for the KU scheme such that those monies need not go to NSSF. They can actually be housed within the KU retirement scheme, because it is a contracted out, a certified contracting out scheme as well that can receive this portion. So when this then therefore comes in, then it means that you are having the tier 1 as a lump sum, and then you're having the tier 2, which will be paid to you as a pension. Now, Aaron, maybe you can confirm for me whether KU has integrated the two, or you are still handling them as separate.
Thank you, George. And I think as I answer that, I'll also speak to the last question that have been asked on the progress of moving NSSF to contributions. I think the process requires that the sponsor, and that is the KU University in this case, will need to first of all make the decision to opt out or to contract out the tier 2. We've had that conversation with the Board of Trustees, and that conversation now is at the management level of the university. From the Board of Trustees, the board is ready to manage once the sponsor makes the contracting out decision. So at this point, I would just say it's a decision that is with the management. Once the management have made that decision, we can be able to get into that process. Of course, there are unique challenges we have as an institution, and I want to believe that is part of what the sponsor is looking at. So for now, we have still not separated. We are operating both the tier 1 and tier 2 with NSSF. But there are those intentions to separate and to have tier 2 managed at the scheme level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that update. That means something is being done there. Now, Zachariah says a very interesting discourse. For some of us, wish this came to us at the beginning or middle of our career. So what to do if we went for junk food or phone instead of communication, wrong housing or transport decisions? What is our path of salvation? So thank you, Zachariah. I think I mentioned this to say that we may have some leeway, maybe some few years to retirement. Are we able to do the right thing? The best focus would be to focus yourself on pushing more towards funding your retirement so that you boost that targeted scheme credit at the end of the day. And I demonstrated that using the additional voluntary contributions of just 1,000 and what it can actually do as you continue. And that is on the one side. On the other side, again, is manage your expenses so that you are now able to do more financial decisions than money decisions. Marco Bonio says things keep on changing. Beware. What worked yesterday may not be the case today or tomorrow. Be on the lookout, and hence these conversations are timely. Yes, thank you, Mark. I think that resonates with what I said earlier, that your children are not your retirement plan. They may not take care of you the way you have, for example, supported upwards with your parents, for example. Things are changing very, very fast. It's a high time that we became aware that our conversations or our scenarios would be very, very different. Mary Mwangi says, very insightful. Hope we can get the slides and recording for future reference. Yes, I saw the session was recorded, and I will also share the slides with you. Thank you very much, Mary. Then we have Maureen Mweru, who's saying, please give us tips on how to ensure we have adequate medical cover after we retire. Maureen, we have an opportunity in the scheme. Your own scheme has already changed its rules to allow you to do additional voluntary contributions that are targeted towards your post-retirement medical benefits. And from what I illustrated there, I said that the law has changed to allow you to do up to 15,000 per month, which is tax-free. Take advantage of that, because with the tax, whenever you're given a window to avoid tax, please utilize it. So up to 15,000 every month can go to your post-retirement medical fund there, Maureen. Then Mary Mwangi again says, please clarify the difference between annuity and income drawdown. I think I dwelt on that a lot with those 7 parameters that ticks the box for me more on the income drawdown than with the annuity. Then Zachariah says, give me a practical example of income drawdown. So given time, I think I'll be able to maybe just pull out a calculation table which can actually help you get there. In Kenyatta University, do we have the option of income drawdown, or are we locked into annuity option? That's a question from Dixon Ombaka. And maybe Aaron, again, back to you. Could you confirm if KU has an income drawdown fund embedded in the scheme, or the members would still also need to look outside? And with outside, we are saying there are many income drawdown funds. Even me at Kuza, I have one that I am managing, which also gave very good returns last year. And so maybe, I don't know, where is the position with KU?
Yeah, I want to confirm, George, we have both options. We
Good.
have the annuity options, we have the income drawdown, and we also have the hybrid, just in case for someone who says, I want a taste of both. I want to have some of my money going for annuity and part of my money going for the income drawdown. We have all those options with us.
Thank you. Thank you for that confirmation. So KU, you can have a taste of both. That is very, very good. Look at both income drawdown and annuity, but if income drawdown ticks the box more for you, go that route. I would really recommend the same if you don't mind. Beatrice Kamau says, morning, very good information. Thank you, George. Can we kindly get the recording later? Sometimes the internet is unstable. I think we confirmed to you, Beatrice, that the session is recorded, and I'm sure this will be shared. Anthony Mbabu also asks, what is the progress to moving NSF Tier 2 contributions to KU? I think that has already been addressed. And then we have Rosemary Wanyoike, who is asking, in case of Tier 2 contributions, has KU integrated it to be part of the individual pension? Does the sponsor remit it? Again, I think that was addressed by Mr. Harun. Then Marco Bonyo says, so where is the money deducted for NSF Tier 2 housed? Again, I think that was also addressed. Lawrence Solaro says, is it true that when you give additional money to your retirement benefit scheme, the employer does not reciprocate? I think that confirmation there is that for additional voluntary contributions, the employer is not obligated to match that contribution. It is just a testament of you saying, I am the one who will retire in this particular case, so I want to boost my retirement savings. Then Dr. Lucy is saying to Aaron, KU pension trustees and management has taken too long to contract out Tier 2 to KU pension scheme. Let's have a timeline before the next AGM. I think Aaron has taken note of that. And then I have a question for trustees. Lucy Mwangi says, can we go to KU scheme and ask to have income drawdown? I think Aaron has confirmed that that is already available for income drawdown. So that is fine. So thank you very, very much. I think, Aaron, I've exhausted what was visible on my end. I'll take the mic back to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, George. I will give you an opportunity for a member who might have a question, but I still need to clarify further because I can see the issue of NSSF is actually raising a number of questions. Like I mentioned, this is a discussion that has to that is being held at management. We have no control on what happens at management, but like I mentioned, the Board of Trustees have already addressed itself to this matter, and the board is ready and willing to manage the Tier 2 contributions. What normally has to do, the process, the way the process is that the management have to, first of all, make a resolution of separating or contracting out. Once the management has decided they want to contract out, the role of the Board of Trustees now is to accept that and to accept management of the same. So I think it's really not an issue that is within the Board of Trustees to say we want this to be done by a certain timeline. But I want to say, like I already mentioned, that we have already had this conversation with the management, because management is also represented in the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Trustees remains available to and ready and willing to take over the management of Tier 2 contributions. Members, if there's anyone who have a question, maybe you can lift your hand. I believe Alfric will allow you to talk. We can have 1, 2, 3 questions. And I had seen Lucy saying she has a question for the trustees. I think it's a good time. We can take 2, 3.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a question for the trustees. At some point when I looked at the financials, was it about 2 years ago, I found that the auditor had indicated that there was a lot of unremitted contributions by the employer. And according to the auditors, that amount was irrecoverable. And we continue to see in the statements that we get, our statements, the amount that the scheme has received and the unremitted. So what is the fate of our contributions in that case? Given that according to the auditors, they had actually qualified the report and were saying that amount is irrecoverable and therefore should not continue being shown as an asset in the balance sheet. So I'm so much concerned about the fate of that amount. Probably maybe you can enlighten us on what has happened so far from the report of the auditor, then what is the progress and what is the fate? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions so that we can respond to all of them together? Good. I think that's the only question. I don't know whether Dr. Otiato is in the house. Is the chair for finance and investment. Dr. Otiato.
Thank you very much, PM and Dr. Lucy. Yes, the auditors have raised that red flag, but I first of all want to allay your fears. The money is recoverable. And that's why the people who are going away this year will get their money, even though last year it appeared as if it was not recoverable. It will be recovered. But on what are we doing as trustees? As you have been told, even management is part of the Board of Trustees. So we have agreed as a Board of Trustees to meet the council, the University Council, I think early next month. We want to have a joint meeting over this issue because we have taken the university to RBA. The university has gone to RBA, it has given them promises, they have not done anything. But you know, these councils, some of them are new. So they wanted to be with us together to canvass this issue and see way forward. But we know they are the political arm of the university. So we want to explain to them how serious it is, the kind of fears that you have. You know, they can affect even service delivery. If all of us start having that tension that, oh, our money is irrecoverable. So that is the kind of fear that we want to deliver to them so that they also go to perhaps the government arm the way Moi University did, and we see if something can happen. We are meeting them next month, the University Council. I don't know if that is enough for Dr. Lucy.
Yeah, you have responded. But as a contributor, as a pensioner, I'm still not satisfied with the state of affairs. Maybe that could be escalated, because I believe that I'm just representing a lot of us here. Thank you.
That's what you have done. We're escalating it not just at the Board of Trustees. We want to talk to the council, and we want to tell the council, please escalate these issues, if possible, to the president's office or to parliament, because there are the university's arm in terms of politics, because they are political appointees. For us, all we can do is to take them to RBA, which we have done, and RBA always, is another arm of government. They cannot take another arm of government wherever it is. So we hope that in the near future, we might have a breakthrough. If we don't, again, we shall come back to you and explain to you how far we have gone and what are the results. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Otieno, for that response. And someone is asking whether they have to light to, if they want to increase their voluntary contribution, whether they have to light to salaries. That is the procedure, because deductions will happen at the salaries. So you may need to write to them so that you can be able to say, this is the additional voluntary contribution that I want to be able to do on a monthly basis. I think we're going to close it at that. Members, thank you so much for your questions. And George, thank you very much again. Members are saying they didn't see your face. So George, as I welcome the chair, Education, Professor Walter, to make his closing remarks. George, you can put your face as you say Kwaheri. And if
Thank
Sadek
you.
in the house, yep.
Thank you, Aaron. I saw that one come from Muirori Kinganga. Yet even him, his profile photo is even in a mask. Yeah. Meaning we have no way of even having an idea of who he is. But anyway, this is George Oyuga. I'm not a very new face to the KU scheme. For those who have attended even AGMs before, I'm sure we have interacted in certain quarters, but that notwithstanding, I always appreciate the association we have with the scheme and the opportunity to always engage with you. So thank you very much. I believe that now quenches the thirsts from Bwana Muirori. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This point, ladies and gentlemen, I will ask Professor Njoroge to mention something, and then Sunday will close with a word of prayer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. And let me start by thanking the members for turning large numbers for this educative seminar. And I want to let the members know that the Board of Trustees have made a deliberate effort to ensure that members are educated in many aspects to ensure dignity in retirement. We are here to take care of our old age, and the Board of Trustees will ensure that we educate the members, or the members are educated, so that we retire in dignity. Having said that, I need to, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, allow me, members, to thank our Almighty God for the good health which ensured that we are able to attend this important seminar on financial matters. And this was facilitated by George Oyuga, and members will agree with me that the presentation was very powerful, and we can now differentiate between money decisions and financial decisions. And members, I think you can agree with me for sure, the 2 hours this morning were well spent. And from now onwards, our money and financial decisions will be made from a position of knowledge. I wish to thank you, members. again for finding time to participate in today's seminar. I'm sure you can now differentiate between money decisions and financial decisions, and you can apply the knowledge to change your financial health. I'm very sure members who have other duties, allow me to stop there to allow you to attend to other matters. And I'm hoping to see you soon in another educative session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I also want to appreciate our ICT team for organizing these sessions for us. We really appreciate. Trustee Sunday, you can make the closing prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for guiding us through this virtual session. Though we met from different places, your presence united us in a purpose and understanding. We are grateful for the knowledge shared, the dedication of our sponsor, and the commitment of the Board of Trustees who made this meeting possible. May you bless each one of them abundantly. As we log off, we pray for continued wisdom, good health, and clarity as we plan for our future. May the lessons from today's bear fruit in our lives and in the lives of those we support. Keep us safe and in your peace until we meet again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, members. Again, our office remains open for any clarification or further questions. You can always be able to pick them up with the pension office. Asante sana. God bless you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for organizing us. Thank you so much. This Professor Mbogwa, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof.